You're listening to the Hello Awesome podcast, and this is episode 116. Hey friends, we are back here on the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do not take it lightly that you spend time in your day to listen. I truly do appreciate it so much. There are so many other voices you could have in your ear, but you choose to have mine. So thank you so much, for real. Before we get started, don't forget to enter our 3-year podcast anniversary giveaway that's happening right here for listeners all month long. I am giving away one of my devotional books of your choice and a brand new notebook. You can choose from The Glitter Effect, Give It to God Girl, or my latest, Living in the Lion's Den. All you have to do is leave a 5-star review in iTunes, letting me know which episode or guest has been your favorite and why. You can also email me your review if you don't use iTunes at helloawesomeshop@gmail.com. Or if you're on Instagram, like most of us are, just DM me your review and I will make sure that it gets entered into the giveaway. Okay, so this week and next week, I have a 2-part interview that is jam-packed with laughter and wisdom. Kristen Caum blew up on Instagram just this past year over on her account, Darling on a Dime, Kristen Caum. Now, each one of those words has an underscore in between. I split this conversation into a 2-parter because we dive into rich topics like modest fashion, body image, confidence, bullying, especially in the church, and how we can praise God through it all. So in this episode, Kristen and I discuss how she got her account started, some modest fashion advice, and the struggle with body image no matter what your size is. Then next week, part 2 will come out, and it's going to be incredible as well. So here we go. Let's get this started. Here is episode number 116 that I am calling Fashion and Feelings with Kristen Caum, part 1. Hey guys, I'm Jacy. Are you ready for real conversations about faith, business, and life? Me too. This is the Hello Awesome podcast, where I bring forth topics and truthful insights that will encourage you to make intentional choices and pursue God with your whole heart. Are you ready to say hello to the awesome blessings that God has for you? All right, let's do this. Before we get started, let me share some amazing deals from a few friends of mine. California-based, female-owned, modest boutique Skirt Society has hand-picked pieces perfect for all sizes. For a limited time, use code HELLO10 for 10% off your next order at theskirtsociety.com. From hoodie sets to jumpers, up your fashion game this season. If you're trying to tame your mane like I am, it is time to invest in Uncut. Uncut offers a variety of hair care, cleansing, and strengthening products that will help restore and renew your long locks. Use code AWESOME10 for 10% off when you order from uncuthaircare.com today. Are you looking for modest clothing that's both high quality and affordable? Pencil skirts, layered tops, lace extenders, and more can be found at Nuggles. You can also find the cutest modest options for grade school age girls. Use code HELLOAWESOME10 for 10% off your purchase at www.nuggles.us. That's NUGGLES.US and stock up for all your layering needs. Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I have a very special treat this week. A brand new guest and a friend is here with me, and it's going to be a good one because she is amazing. Kristen, thank you for being on the podcast with me today. Can you please tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Hi, nice to be here. My name is Kristen, and I am 36. I'll be 36 this year, and I live in Washington State. I have a son and a husband, and I do ministry in my church. I do music ministry and children's ministry, and I do some blogging on the side with Instagram and some Facebook, and Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I actually uh just turned 37, so we're very close in age. Um and that's awesome. I didn't know that you were from Washington State. So I think you might be the first guest that I've had on from Washington State. So that's pretty awesome. But I
Nice.
really am excited to get to talk to you and learn more about, you know, what God's been doing. And yeah, you mentioned you do some blogging on Instagram and Facebook, and that's of course where I found you, where we found each other. And your Instagram really has just blown up. I was just blown
Yeah.
away. I remember like scrolling and I saw you were close to I think it was like 10 to 13,000 followers,
Hmm.
which is around the range that I am. And then I can't remember how long, but then I remember the next time I went, it was like 20. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but I know that it's been for good reason. You're just so naturally funny and you really have amazing style. And I think a lot of people are gravitating
Thank you.
towards those two things. Um, but I really want to know what made you start a profile and how did you begin sharing your fashion and creating fun reels and posts?
So, I had always had an Instagram page that was just like my personal one where I posted, like my food, like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hit and I just had so much time and I started posting more often. And then I thought, well, I have all this time on my hands. Why don't I, you know, just try posting like my outfits and just, if anyone cares, they can like it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I just kind of started posting more and then decided to start sharing my outfits. And then I actually got signed as I had about 1,500 followers at that point. And, um, Chosen Vessels, reached out to me and asked if I would be one of their ambassadors. And I said, yeah, sure. And
Mm-hmm.
so then it became more of like a blogging for a purpose, like you have a customer, who's reaching out to you that wants to buy the shirt that you're wearing and things like that. And so it just became more like that. And then I just kept kind of going that route. And, um, the reels just happened because Instagram decided to, get on the TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
bandwagon and start making videos. And I thought, all right, I'm going to make one, I'll just try it out. And I made my first one, which is way down the list of my reels, which, oh, please don't scroll down them and go look. But it's my first reel. And I used the audio to like Eddie James's I've Got a Fire Burning Inside of Me. And I said how apostolic singles feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just made that tiny little video and I got like a lot of likes for me at the time, which was about 300 or something. And I was like, wow, man, this little video sure did get a lot of likes. And, so I was like, well, maybe I'll make some more later, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I kind of kept going on with the fashion portion of it. And, and then I thought to myself, I want to be somebody that I could have used as a young apostolic woman.
Yeah.
Um, somebody I could look to look at the fashion and look at somebody who kind of looked like me and acted like me and just know that I wasn't alone and in my struggles and know that it was okay to be different and you were out there being different and proud and I just thought to myself, well, you know, apostolic women already have a hard time feeling kind of, beautiful in our society a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And then being plus size on top of it, you have a hard time feeling beautiful. And so I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to gear everything towards plus size apostolic women. I mean, of course, any size can glean, hopefully, from what I'm doing. But I just wanted to really encourage my plus size apostolic ladies, and just the apostolic ladies in general
Yeah.
to feel beautiful. And in the meantime, I was also encouraging myself because people always ask me, oh, how are you so confident? And I'm like, oh, I'm really not that, really not that confident. Um, I'm just really good at projecting it and, trying to like push myself towards that. So it just kind of grew from there. And then I started making more reels. And then one reel in particular went just ham crazy, which was the Walmart Supercenter one. And
Mm-hmm.
it just went absolutely crazy and started getting me a bunch of followers from that reel. Really, I had about, I'm going to say like 5 or 6 thousand by the time I made that reel. And after that reel, I had about 10 or 11. And
Wow.
yeah, from the one reel. And
Mm.
I was like, all right, this is creepy. Like, are you sure you guys meant to follow me? Like, and
Yeah.
then as the more reels that I made, more people just started following me off the reels because I became like someone Instagram showed more frequently in the reels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I basically got a lot of my followers from reels and people sharing my reels to their friends, and then they'd follow me or whatever. So, my following really blew up from that. And, that's kind of how I got to where I am, with
Mm-hmm.
the amount of people following me. It's very surreal, because it did kind of just happen in 3 months, basically.
Yeah.
I pretty much went from 6,000 to 21,000 in about a 3 month span, 2, 3 month span.
That's
So
fast.
it's been pretty weird.
Well, was it hard for you to show a more real goofy side online? Because I feel like that part is also tough, especially for women, especially for church women. Sometimes we feel like we have to be kind of serious all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Was it like difficult to kind of let loose and just be silly sometimes? Because I vote that we do that more.
For me, it really wasn't, because that's just kind of my personality.
Yeah.
And I just decided, to post because people my whole life, I hope this doesn't sound super conceited, but people my whole life have told me I was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've not really had, and I've put myself out there like with plays and things. I kind of have a history of being able to have been putting myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it really wasn't to me, because, it was just me and my camera,
Right.
and I was just being me to my camera and nobody was watching me. And when I would put it out there, I think especially after the response I got from my first couple ones, you start to feel more confident in the
Mm-hmm.
fact that people aren't just going to think you're a loser and you're not funny. And,
Yeah.
then your confidence builds. You're like, oh, okay, they like it. And so then you're hearing positive feedback, and you're more likely to keep doing it. So, I mean, I'm sorry if people are wanting me to say it was really hard for me, but, that part wasn't really hard for me. But I do agree with you that, we do need to put our real selves out there. And like, if you're a
Mm-hmm.
serious person and that's your real self, then be your real self. If that's who you are, great, be authentically you. But if you have a goofy side and personality, definitely put it out there, because there's a whole lot of apostolic women just like you, and they're going to relate to that and, be drawn to that. And humor in general
Yeah.
is something people kind of come together through. Like, everyone loves to laugh. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and in general, if you are funny or joyful in your videos, or you don't even have to be like making crazy faces. You could just be, funny in your own way. Like, some people are just really witty, or they have really good comedic timing, and you can put yourself out there that way. You could put yourself out there, in a inspirational post,
Yeah.
um, and just show who you are, really,
Mm-hmm.
because this world is really desperate for authenticity
Yeah.
and realness. And in general, Christian women and people kind of get a rap for being fake.
Right.
And so when they see somebody that's really truly authentically being themselves, in general, people are drawn to that and respond to that.
Mm.
And, and that's not in a way of saying like go out and like inauthentically be authentic, you know,
Yeah.
like just truly don't stress yourself out. Some people stress themselves out so much with their reels and,
Yeah.
oh, are they going to like it? Are they going to do this? So just breathe and be yourself, and you'll shine. Just be yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I think that's so important to hear nowadays. And yeah, I agree because I'm the same way, just goofy and silly. Definitely have a lot of people telling me, that I'm just a nerd and whatever, just
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
being goofy, always trying to make people laugh. And I'm the one that laughs at my own jokes
Yeah.
and my husband rolls his eyes. But so there's a couple of reels that I have done as well. Some of them I've had like I'm like characters, in different skits and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, promoting my books or whatever. And I found that was probably the biggest response is like, if I just am myself, like you were saying,
Yeah.
just this is how God made me. I am
Mm-hmm.
goofy. And there is just such beauty in comedy and humor. I'm a big clean comic fan. I listen to it every single day. And I think yeah, and I think Instagram could use that. It's so refreshing, and I think that's a huge draw for people. When they see your reels, it's like, oh, she's gonna make me laugh today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the most popular constant comment that I get is thanks for making me laugh in
Mm,
on a day I really needed it. And I'm like, you're welcome. That's what they're there for. Is to make you laugh, feel a little bit of joy that day, whatever it is. But that is the comment I get. One of the comments I get the most is, just simply, I love your reels. Thank you for making me laugh. I just laughed all day, or I laughed today because of you, or, whatever. And in a world that so desperately needs joy and laughter, especially after the last couple of years, I think people are just really like, thanks for making me laugh. Thanks for
yeah.
taking some of the pressure off me today, or whatever it is. And that it really warms my heart with those messages, because I'm just thankful I can do that for somebody.
Mhm.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It goes to show that, we can use the platforms that we're given for good, to put
Oh
good
yeah.
things out there. And I
Hmm.
think when people go to, your page, they can get a laugh and get inspired, with your style of fashion. It's so fun. And there's been times where I'm like, oh, I would have never thought to put those colors together, patterns together. Cause to me, I love fashion. It's
Hmm.
something I've always been interested in. I am an artsy person, so I love to draw that.
Nice.
But then when I go to put my own outfits together, sometimes I lack a little bit on how to dress my body. I feel like at 37 years old, I kind of have some of it figured out, but it's always nice to see what everybody else is doing just
Yeah.
to get an idea of what maybe I could do with my wardrobe. And I'm
Right.
I'm just curious, how did you find your style of fashion? Do you think that you have a style? Are you still finding it? Um, what is that like?
Yeah. So, with my fashion choices, I've always, when people try to like nail it down, I have a hard time nailing it down, because I really just buy what I like.
Yeah, same.
And yeah, I'm just like, if I like it, I'm gonna buy it. But in general, I mean, generally it's just kind of I have a couple fun pieces that I like. I like statement pieces, and I like unique pieces. So I will get some of those. But I also do have like my basics that I can put together for like every day. And I like hardware. Like I like studs, like belts and things that have like trimming on it, like hardware trim, like the motorcycle
Mhm.
jackets that have all the buckles and everything, and the
Yes.
zippers. I love a good like zipper that doesn't do anything, but it's just there. I love a good just, do nothing zipper.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess I like a little bit of the, lack of a better word, rocker edge to it. I like those kinds of things. So I'm just very eclectic. I kind of just tell people I'm eclectic, and I just like what I like, and if I look at it and I think it's pretty, I'm gonna buy it. And which my husband probably wishes I didn't, but hey, here we are, you know. Um, but so yeah, I pretty much just buy what I like, and it's definitely evolved throughout the years because my confidence level has changed, and so before I would, you know, not wear things that I liked because they were too short on me, or you know, show too much of my arm, or you know, whatever insecurity I was trying to hide. Um, I just simply wouldn't buy it even if I liked it because I felt like too much of my legs would be out or something. And I mean like still below my knee, you know, I'm not talking like up my thigh. But
Right.
so I kind of limited myself, and then actually because of Instagram and the blogging, I actually grew a lot in my confidence, and it's really helped me get out there and buy the pieces that I've always loved but been too afraid to wear.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've grown quite a bit in my fashion, but in general, I'm just kind of eclectic, and I like hardware. I like fancy stuff all over my things, and I like statement pieces, and I like to go big or go home for the most part, unless I'm tired and I just want to look like I'm homeless, you know, and throw my hair up and not even care.
And
So
all the ladies listening said amen. Yeah, we know.
exactly.
Yeah.
And today I'm homeless.
I agree with you though. I love too many different things, and I always think it's because I'm an artist. Like I love all colors. I have a hard time
Hmm.
picking even my favorite color. I have a like maybe
Hmm.
my top three, but
Right.
um I've learned too, and I'm more of the petite, so it's been hard for me in a different way finding clothes
Hmm.
because I have to find clothes that don't look like they come from the children's section and that actually
Right.
fit like a womanly figure, not like, you know, a teenage boy. But
Right.
um, you know, when you just find something that you like and then you really look at your insecurities, it really is hard. Um,
Hmm.
I can't remember specifically. I forgot how old I was, but I have very, very broad shoulders. And for the longest time, I would just kind of like hide.
Hmm.
And I was very vulnerable and insecure about just being petite. And so I would actually wear baggier things, which now looking
Hmm.
back, I realized I made it worse for myself.
Hmm.
Um, I wasn't really
Yep.
dressing the body that I had, and I was
Hmm.
trying to hide it all. And it really didn't help. But now it's like, I think you do get to a certain point. Maybe it's age, maybe it's experience, maybe it's God, maybe it's all of it,
All
where
of the
you
above.
just
Yeah.
kind of realize it's just like a shirt. You know what I mean? It's just skirt.
Yeah.
And yes, they do mean something. I'm not trying to say that they don't.
Right.
It's very important. But um, just put it on. And if it
Hmm.
doesn't fit right and you end up not liking it, well then don't wear it again.
Yeah.
I think we just get into our minds a lot,
Hmm.
and when you're looking at your wardrobe as a whole and some of your favorite things, if you could choose one staple piece for a modest wardrobe, what would it be and why?
I mean, it's gonna sound really cliche, but a straight column black dress.
Mm,
Because one that's like a midi length,
yeah.
so that it goes like a little past your knee or like to your mid calf, and just a kind of a straight dress. It, you know, it doesn't have to have sleeves because you can put, you know, things over it, but it can have a little sleeve too. But in general, you need a variation of a straight column dress because you can put anything you need over that dress. I mean, you can put a kimono, you can put a suit jacket, you can put a sweater and tuck it up and do the belt thing. You can pretty much do anything you need with that little dress, and it can take you from, you know, day to night. I know it's super cliche, but that little black dress is really going to get you really far. And in general, anything you are going to wear multiple times in a week, you should
Mm,
generally spend more money on, because those are your staple pieces, and those are the ones that are going to last you a long time and that you're going to wear the most. So you want to put them, I always tell people it's cost per wear. You want to say, okay, yeah, okay, this column dress or this skirt or um, whatever might be like 50 to maybe even $100, depending on how well it's made. And you're like,
Mhm.
golly, $100, say it's $100. We'll just go with the big number. Um, but if you look at that black dress and you realize your outfits are completely infinite, there is, you can put anything with that. And think about how many years you're going to have it. Divide all that by the $100 and how much have you really spent? Because you're not going to go out and buy another one because that one broke.
Mhm.
Um, or ripped because it's, it's well made, hopefully, and it's going to last you a really long time. So I tell women in general, pieces that you're going to get a lot of use out of, just you should be comfortable spending more. Now your side pieces, you can get those cheaper from like, a couple Shein or whatever, where we know we get the good wholesale pricing basically, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm.
You can kind of do filler with things like that. But you definitely want your like staple pieces like your jean skirt, your black dress, your maybe a black suit or a blazer or something like that, because you got church, you have work. Some of us have to go to work, go out into the work field. Um, you are, weddings, you are going to be able to use that anytime you have an event that pops up. You don't have to be like, oh my goodness, I have nothing to wear. Well, yeah, I do. I got that black dress and I've got a great shirt I can put over it, and I'm done. No stress, no fuss. And I'm all a bit about the like getting ready in 15 minutes sort of thing.
Yeah.
People see me and I'm like, golly, it must have taken you hours to get ready. And I'm like, dude, if it takes less than 15 minutes, I'm out. Okay. My
Yeah.
husband takes longer than me. So, even my hairstyles, people will be like, oh, that must have taken forever. And I was like, it'll take me like 5 minutes. so, so I try to show them how that works, because I'm all about getting out, looking nice and put together, but not spending all day on something. And if you do, that's fine. If you spend a lot of time doing your hair or whatever, that's fine. Some girls have like so much hair that it takes forever. Um,
Mm.
I, I don't have my hair's not cut, but it's not hereditary, like hair, that's not the right word. Heretically, that is not right. Um, genetically, I just don't have like super super long thick hair. So I know like for those girls, things can take a little bit longer. Um, but in general, I'm all about that fast paced life of just getting in and getting out. And so when you have good statement pieces like that, it can help you, get in and get out faster. And then you got you can have your really great statement pieces that can cost a little bit more, like a
Mhm.
really great going out dress, is a good staple. That way you have a dress for like date night or, a church event or something like that. You have a good, well-made dress that, you can always pull out. It's just good to have a good basic dress you can dress up and down, and then a good like fancy dress that you can dress up and down, and a couple good, pencil skirts in your wardrobe. And those things can cost a little more so that you can get in and out, wear them all the time and then not break down on you. And you'll end up spending more because you're rebuying and rebuying. If you pay $25 for something, but you've bought it 7 times, you just spent more than if you had just bought the $100 skirt.
Yeah.
So, it's just things like that. When you go shopping, it's just things like that. Don't be afraid of the price. Just stay in your mind, how many times am I going to wear this? Okay, I mean, ugh, my husband might give me a face, but I will give him the speech of
Yeah.
cost per wear, and I will wear that skirt every day. And every time I wear it, I'm gonna be like, look, honey, look, I'm wearing my skirt.
Right.
Can't get mad. Can't get mad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's good. Those are good tips. I really appreciate that because I think it could be kind of overwhelming because, I think we try and do so many different things with a lot of different pieces. And I think, I know that's where I am personally is I'm trying to always look at what I have and
Mm-hmm.
what I could reuse for multiple outfits and things
Mm-hmm.
that I could layer, especially dresses and pencil skirts, things like that. And, definitely just spending a little bit more. I know I try to spend a little bit more on undershirts.
Mm-hmm.
We use those like water.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Tissues.
yeah, exactly. So just spending a little bit more because you're going to wear them
Right.
almost every day or
Right.
every week. It's going to be multiple times a week. So I agree.
Yep.
That's very, very good. Um, so recently, I want to go back to what we were talking about before, but about confidence and,
Mm.
insecurities and different things like that. You recently posted something that was very vulnerable about yourself. And,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people related to it. I know I did, and I was reading the comments and, um, growing up, it was hard for you to be confident because you share that you were bullied for how
Yes.
you look, and that carried through adulthood. I know for me, I also was bullied, but I actually have a different story where I was a bully. This was
Mm.
before I was even in church, and we know that
Yeah.
there are bullies inside and
Of
outside the
course.
church, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a unique perspective where I know why I was bullying now that I
Mm.
look back.
Mm.
Um, and it was, I mean, it was awful. Uh, and so you shared that, and a lot of people responded. And I
Mm.
wanted to know, what has God been teaching you through showing up on social media now?
Yeah. I shared that post because I knew that somebody that was either going through it or had gone through it might need to read that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I wanted to be someone that I wish I had when I was little. And not little, but like a teenager, preteen. And if somebody, of course, social media was non-existent basically, when we were teenagers and in middle school, but, has had somebody written something like that, somebody that I looked at and thought, wow, they're so cool, even though, I'm really not that cool. But somebody had written that I looked up to or whatever, um, that they had a similar experience to me and they got through it, and they were called names too and things like that. It would have helped me as a young person, and so I wanted to put that out there because so many times in our apostolic movement and maybe Christianity in general, I'm not sure, but um, we tend to not talk about things
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and just kind of, well, you just pray about that. Well, yeah, you should pray about it, but it just makes people feel like they're completely alone. And the tactic of the enemy is to isolate
Yeah.
and to make you feel like you're by yourself in your struggle. Nobody else is dealing with this, and if they are, you just must be really bad because they're handling it just fine. Whoever else is dealing with it, they seem to be just fine, and you're here just this mental wreck.
Mm.
And what people don't understand is that most people are mental wrecks. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
we all have something in our past that has wounded us. We might have things in our current situations that are wounding us. Um, there's so much pressure on women in general these days that it can become extremely overwhelming. And my goal is to talk about it so that we don't feel so alone, that we make an eternal decision off of something that is temporary and
Mm-hmm.
that can be worked out. And for me, with the bullying and all of that, there's so many young women who have taken their own life because they have felt completely worthless.
Mm.
They have felt totally alone and completely unloved and unwanted. I don't ever want to not be a I just don't ever want that to happen. Of course, I know things like that are going to happen, but I don't ever want someone that I have been in contact with to have not felt support from me. And that I don't ever want to say, wow, I should have talked about that. No, I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about it. And I'm going to let them know they're not alone. I'm going to let them know they it can work out, and that's what my post was about. It was about having, just, I mean, really being, I was good for a long time, all through elementary school. And then, I had to switch schools in fifth grade in the middle of the year. And because we moved literally across a street and the bus no longer went to
Mm.
my house. So I had to swap to the school that was on the other side of the street. Really
Yep.
stupid, but
Yeah.
there it was. So in the middle of 6th grade, I ended up having to switch schools, having no friends and not knowing a single soul. Nobody talked to me. And I'm a very social person. So I went from having friends to not having any. And 6th
Mhm.
grade, it was the same. And on top of it, I was starting to gain weight because, puberty hits and
Mhm.
everything changes. And, I was starting to gain some weight. I was starting to turn to food. Food was kind of becoming like my comfort zone. I could just eat and feel better, although technically you're really not feeling better. You know,
Right.
um, it would just comfort you. And so I was turning to food, and so I was gaining weight on top of it. And then, I didn't really have the church I was at the time, the youth group was kind of just non-existent, really. Um, and I didn't really, all the kids were either 3 years older than me, or the ones my age weren't really there, or, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And I just didn't have a support system from my friends at my kids my age at church either. So I was really just kind of, and I want to say, in case any of you are listening, that's not a dig at anybody, because I don't ever want people to think I grew up with that I'm like talking bad about them. So I just want to throw that out there.
Sure.
This is
Yeah.
just my truth in my life. So anyway, I just felt really alone, and like I didn't have anybody to talk to. And junior high hit, and it just got worse because
Mhm.
every kid has their own issues they're going through, their own stuff. Most of the time, if they're picking on you, it's because there's something going on in their insides. There's
Right.
something going on at home, or something they don't have. They don't have confidence themselves, so they're projecting that onto you and bullying you so that you feel as bad as them, and it's how they're
Mhm.
hiding it. And you don't know any of that when you're in 7th grade. You don't know all that.
Yeah.
So you're just getting pummeled. And in 8th grade, what I talked about, there were some children that lived in my neighborhood, and yeah, they followed me home every day. Every day they followed me home, and they mooed at me the entire way home. And I would go in, and my mom worked nights at the time. I'd go in my mom's room and I'd just cry, my eyes out every single day. I just felt so alone. I had, um, I was just gaining weight, and of course, I say of course, but what I felt like was, of course, I didn't have any boyfriends.
Mhm.
And I couldn't date anybody in school anyway. I was too different, of course, and that was fine. It's very good that I probably did not date anybody in school, because especially when girls feel insecure about themselves, they, maybe do things they shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So it's probably a godsend that I didn't date anybody. And then there was nobody for me to really date at my church. I had started going to a different church at the time that had, and the only reason I started going there is because they had a youth group, and my parents knew how important that was, and so we swapped over to the other church for that reason. And I started getting friends. um some of the girls thought I was cool, and I was like, are you crazy? I'm like, not cool at all.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not cool. But so I started getting some friends again, but I still had all of the baggage and
Yeah.
all of the habits that I learned, all the eating habits, and how to cope, and the baggage of being talked to. And I would still get talked to like that because I wasn't out of high school yet. Um, I'd still go to school, and they'd make fun of me in gym, and because I was the skirt girl wearing pants, and then they'd make fun of me about why I wear pants, and oh, we can tell why you don't wear pants, things like that. And so as I grew up, people are always like, oh gosh, I wish I'd go back to high school. And you could not pay me enough to go back to high school. I would, no, thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and I carried all of that baggage into adulthood, and I was very self-conscious. I thought nobody actually liked me, like
Mhm.
when I walked away, I felt like I was either too loud, or I said the wrong thing. And I still struggle with that today, where like I'll leave somewhere, a party or something, and be like, no, you really just talked way too much. You talk too much, you were annoying, you dominated the conversation, or if I was a little bit, quieter, I should, Kristen, you really should have talked more. I always kind of beat myself up after I
Yeah.
leave somewhere. But, I carried all the insecurity and thought nobody liked me for who I was. If, I was so fat, I was so ugly, I was just hideous. No man would ever want me. No guy would ever want to date me. And I, I had a couple and I hid myself in my clothes. Let's just say that I hid myself. I wore, just bag, I just made sure I was covered from like ceiling to floor, like I was covered. And, people are like, man, you're so spiritual. And I'm like, girl, it's because I am insecure, like,
Yeah.
I believe in holiness and everything and you should be covered. But like the reason I was so covered was because I was just incredibly insecure.
Yeah.
And, I just carried that. I just carried that through life. And I got into some bad relationships I shouldn't have gotten into because of it, because I was so desperate for love. And I was so desperate to prove to myself that a man could love me and that I was attractive. And oh man, I did some dumb things. And, that's a whole different story for a whole different time. But there's so many people that, and I feel ashamed about it. But at the same time, I know that if I don't talk about it, there are so many other women that have been through that too. And if I don't stand up there and say it, who's gonna? And the people aren't gonna know what to do when it happens to them. And when they feel that way, you can warn them. You can say, hey, like, I understand. I get it. I get that you want love and affirmation and to be thought of as beautiful, but you do not need to do this.
Right.
And I know this because, hey, guess what? I did it. And it stunk. And I wish I hadn't done it. And, it left a little scar on me. And I don't want you to have that scar. And that's kind of what sharing is all about. Like, look, it hurt me. I went through it. I don't want you to go through it. I understand that you're going through the kind of the same things, but if I can, let's leave out this pitfall and let's leave out that pitfall and let's talk about it so that you don't have to deal with all the things that I dealt with, and you can be healthier, and then you can in turn make someone else healthier and make someone else healthier and so on down the line. And I ended up losing some weight, which praise God, never thought was going to happen. I lost like 40 pounds. And
Wow.
I ended up I need to do that again, but like add like 2 more zeros. But I ended up meeting my husband, and something I always prayed about was God, I want someone to love me just for the way I am. And because your weight is going to fluctuate throughout your life. In general, there are some people who are blessed and have the same weight their whole life, but in general, with children and getting older, your body's going to change. Even if you weigh the same, your body's still going to alter itself with age. And I just pray, God, I want someone to love me for who I am and not only what I look like. And yes, I was thinner when I met him. I wasn't my thinnest. I had gained a little bit back, but he truly thought I was beautiful and loved me for who I was and found me beautiful. I mean, I would wear the granniest of the granny PJs and you tell me I'm pretty. He's like, oh, you look nice. I'm like, I'm wearing Croft and Barrow. Like, I mean, it is flannel,
Yes.
And so I have somebody that loves me for exactly who I am, regardless of my fluctuation of weight or whatever. And I still realize even with him, because, guess what? Hey, they don't fix everything. You still have to deal with your own mess on the inside. Some people think, oh, if I do A, B, and C, if I get married and this, all my confidence, I'll have tons of confidence. And no, you won't. You have to fix you have to fix what's going on the inside.
Yes.
Yeah, you do. And so honestly, Instagram had helped me. I would alter my photos a little bit. I would make myself a little than I actually was because I was so insecure. I mean, I'm going to put that out there when I first started. Okay, I would make my arms smaller. I'm like, okay, I can't do that. I might make my arms smaller, or something. And because I was still so insecure.
Mm-hmm.
But as time went on and I wouldn't edit them, as far as, I mean, I put filters and stuff as far as like coloring, but I wouldn't edit them body wise. As time went on, and this was like in the very beginning, just so everyone knows, I do not alter my photos.
Mm-hmm.
But as time went on and I would post more and people would like my photos without me, and I would back off and I wouldn't alter them a little bit and I would post them and people would still like them. They wouldn't be mean to me. There's that fear, that reflex, like, oh, they're, if I don't do this, they're going to hate me. They're going to call me fat, and when they
Right.
didn't, and they still loved me and they still loved them and they still encouraged me and told me I was pretty or whatever. And yeah, that might sound really stupid, but it started to build my confidence. And I would post more. And then, and I mean, like I said, I haven't altered my photos for about a year now. Since I started getting larger,
Mm.
in the following, I just was like, girl, you can't do that. Okay. Like, just be real. Just be you. Just be real. That's your whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, stop editing your photos like that. So, and my confidence would build, and it was just these little steps. And people are like, oh, I don't know how I get that confidence. And really, you just take little steps. You stop editing your photos to make yourself thinner. You put yourself out there just a little bit. You wear maybe a color. Maybe don't wear black.
Mm-hmm.
Wear red. Wear bright blue. Wear green. Wear a bright color. And little by little, your confidence will start to grow and grow and grow, and your comfort zone will begin to grow and grow and grow. And then all of a sudden, your comfort zone will be huge,
Yeah.
and you'll be like, how did I get there? Well, it was all these tiny little steps that got me from point A to B. I didn't take a huge leap.
Mm-hmm.
I took a lot of little tiny steps. And there are some days, I talked about it, I think maybe 2 weeks ago. I had a bad day. Like, everything I got in the mail, nothing fit. I look like trash and all of it. I look huge. I was like, none of these work. The sizes are just not right. The clothes didn't fit. I just felt like a cow. And I cried. Like, I sat in my bathroom and I cried because nothing fit. And I felt so ugly. And I let myself cry about it. And I was like, they're just clothes. They're just clothes. If
Mm-hmm.
they don't fit, then they weren't the right ones. These clothes are not you. These clothes are not your worth. The scale is not your worth. And I would just talk to myself. And I was
Yeah.
like, it's gonna be okay. These are not your worth. It's okay to like have a bad day. Like, just because you're confident doesn't mean you're not gonna have a bad day. Just because you've grown doesn't mean all your insecurities just vanish and you're this just like amazing, confident, no insecurity kind of person
Right.
that never has a bad day, never cries. Please, I cry all the
Mm-hmm.
time. I'm a crybaby.
Yeah.
So do
Yeah.
what you need to do. Cry about it. Like,
Yeah.
let it out for a minute, but make sure you pick yourself up. Don't stay down there. And that's the key. Don't stay in that moment of pity and just wallow in it and have yourself a little, patty pity party. Cause, really, I'm a little patty pity party person. Like, I like to be my little pity party. So I have to pull myself physically, like mentally pull myself out of that and be like, no, we're not going to do that today.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's that way. You have to pull yourself out, make it happen, and just, use that mental discipline, those disciplines, and pull yourself out and shake yourself off and say, okay, we had a tough one today,
Yeah.
but that's not tomorrow. That's not even an hour from now. We had a tough one. We're gonna make it. We're gonna get over it, and we're gonna try again. Um,
I do have a phrase that I tell myself that I felt God tell me a couple years ago, and I've shared it before online, and I keep sharing it whenever the opportunity comes up. But He said to me in my spirit, have a moment, but don't make it a monument.
yeah.
And it was like, I mean, a light
Mm-hmm.
bulb because I'm the same way. I think when you're an emotional person, when you're just, you're
Mm-hmm.
you wear your heart on your sleeve sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You can be very sensitive. I know I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Me too.
I have to realize that I can just, I could cry about it and then do something. I think sometimes we feel like we have to go either or, like you just cry about it and wallow, or you ignore it and become hard. And I think like you can have a moment where, yeah, I get frustrated as well. Sometimes clothes don't fit me. Sometimes I can't find clothes that are, just my body type. Even being a petite person, it's one of those things that I do talk about as far as like if we talk about body shame, we have to go both ways.
Exactly.
And I have a hard time with comments that are directed at me about my petite size because they could be very hateful. And this kind of goes into my next point, because I've had a lot of people who I appreciate and who I looked up to in the church say very, very just gross things about like my small petite stature, thinking that it was okay because I'm skinny. So, she's fine. She's skinny. She can handle it. Like she has no problems. And it's like, yeah, but this is my body you're talking about. And so I could see it going both ways from my perspective. Definitely. And so sometimes I'm like, none of these clothes even fit because I'm not as curvy. I don't fill things out as well. And after having 2 children and, after having a child, your body does change a lot. So there are some parts of me that I never even thought I would be insecure about. And so my husband is the same way. He'll say some very sweet thing and I'm like looking at him like, are you looking at the same thing I am? Because I'm not. I don't think that
you
at all.
You talking to me?
Yeah. But, I think this is something that we do need to talk about more. And it's one of the things that I really did want to have you on for, is because I really do appreciate you being open about that. I think it's definitely a need out there for young ladies to just be part of these conversations with us, because we've been there. And also, like you were saying, they're not alone. You're not alone out there. All of us have felt some insecurities. And just because somebody slaps like a filtered, pretty picture up on Instagram and they're smiling, it doesn't mean that they're smiling in the inside, maybe. And so, there's a lot of things like bullying and mean girls inside the church. And I know this is also something we don't talk a lot about. And I definitely want to tread lightly, because I'm very, very careful with making sure we don't tear down the body of Christ. But I do think that there are divisive spirits among us. And I do think that, the enemy will just use the worst part of ourselves to kind of further his agenda for just creating more division and hatefulness inside the body of Christ. And a lot of that is jealousy. A lot of that is just gossip. But there are just a lot of bullies and mean girls in the church. And I want to know, hold up. I know that you were expecting more from this awesome conversation with Kristen, and we will get to that next week. That's right. I'm leaving you with a cliffhanger because the next part of this interview is too good and deserves its own episode. Thank you so much for listening to part 1, and be sure to tune in early Monday morning for part 2. Don't forget to enter the 3-year podcast anniversary giveaway. I'll be here with Kristen on Monday. I love you all so very much. Have a blessed week. If you found this episode inspiring or helpful, would you take a screenshot of it and share it on your Instagram stories, tagging me at helloawesome.live? I would be so encouraged. Also, please leave a 5-star review in iTunes or Apple Podcasts, sharing how God used this to bless you. Don't forget to subscribe so you can tune into future episodes. To learn more about Hello Awesome and shop inspirational products, head to helloawesome.live using the promo code HELLO10 for 10% off your next purchase. Until next time, keep your chin up, beautiful.